Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long boys blues, 1975. Using girls on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long boys blues, 1975.
Hey YouTube, Long Boys Post 1975, and time for something a little different. Granted, I say that a lot, and also kind of a start of a new series. How regular this series is going to be, I honestly don't know. But it's basically machines I've never liked that all of a sudden I can't live without. Because there are a few of these, and obviously, time itself is an obvious, game changer in this department as to why you change your mind on stuff that you once loathed. And I don't know if I go as far as to say loathed, because the machine I want to talk about is the original Sony PSP. But I have a little bit of a history with the PSP, not a massive amount, but times I played it or had access to it, including when it was absolutely brand new, I wasn't really won over by it or absolutely anything near a fan of it. In fact, I could see more negatives to it than I could positives, but as always, that's dependent upon your immediate situation at the time. Why would I like to talk about it now? Well, I did a response to Alan from Mainmeister maybe a year ago, 18 months ago, on the fact that I have I have a lot of handheld systems. I do not play them outside of the house. When it comes to killing time outside of the house, in waiting rooms and stuff like that, basically the doctors for me, or office appointments or stuff like that, because I don't use public transport. That's not me rubbing it on who does. I own a car, I don't have to use it. I use the phone in those situations to browsing the internet seems far more constructive, and to me a far quicker killer of time than gaming. But I've taken a couple of my mates to various appointments lately, and we've both sat, of these people sat in the waiting room, and I've broken out my PSP and said, sorry, I'm going to be unsociable right now, and stick in some headphones. And both of them said, hang on a minute, you never game in public. Hence my my previous point. And also, the sheer number of portable machines, devices, be it Chinese knockoffs, some of them really good, like the Pocket Go and stuff like that, and also 3DS, DS, SP, whatever you got, that's the one you're choosing. I thought you didn't like the PSP. Now, if I didn't like the PSP, why do I have it? This is a model 1000. I have it because my friend at work found it abandoned on a bus with no power units, along with a wallet of games, which was absolutely awesome, and gave it to me. And I mean, you could argue getting something from completely and utterly free probably, puts a good positive spin on it right off the bat. Goes a long way to kind of erase some of your, I wouldn't say negative memories, just not love of it moments. That was a really awkward phrase. Anyway, my history of the PSP is simple. When it first was launched, and I heard the specs about it and everything, and I thought that DS, was pretty advanced at the time. I mean, obviously think about it now. And obviously I was perfectly happy with the Game Boy SP and the Advance. Well, the Game Boy SP is an Advance with a light, so that's why I liked it. I had a history of handhelds back in the day. I had an Atari Lynx and I had a Game Boy, original Game Boy. And obviously I had a Game Boy Color as well. But this thing came out, and when it was announced, its price was through the roof. What was its launch? Because I was living in Canada at the time. What was its launch? Was it as much as a PlayStation 2? And this is what, 2000 and... I want to say 2005, maybe 2005, but this isn't, about being incredibly historically accurate. It's not about that. But I do remember its price was, eyebrow raising. And so obviously I couldn't even think about owning one. It was never even in my dream list, simply because not having anyone to fall back on and being, living in another country, I had to manage my money, like an adult, because it's... Like I said, no one to fall back on. As much as I had a job, I had to make sure I could, meet my rent, bills such as, cable, food, obviously, hydro and stuff like that. So it was, I had a Game Boy, but, a Game Boy Advance, sorry, but it was not on the cards that I could own anything in that price bracket. I want to say $299. I'm not sure. But there was a bloke at work, and he was middle tier, even at management, even though he was quite young. Yeah, younger than me. That made me feel great at the time. What have I done with my life? life. But yeah, he lent me his because he knew what a big gamer I was even back then, and he lent me it, and he lent it to me for 2 weeks when he went back to Toronto, which is weird because you would have thought he would want to take it with him. Although I guess obviously his actual house was there because we were in Montreal, so he had other ways to kill time. But he lent it to me for 2 weeks on the condition that if I did break it, I would pay for it. I treated this thing like the baby Jeebus. I really, really did. And I don't know, because I thought like the game, the DS was quite advanced and stuff like that. I remember looking at this and just thinking, I don't know. Is this a bit too powerful? Do we really need something that's essentially not quite, but for all intents and purposes, a portable PlayStation 2? And also it's got discs in the back. Something I absolutely love about it now, but didn't like then. And obviously because it's so expensive, there were very few games. I think what games did I have to play on it of the launch titles? I had Ridge Racer, which I don't know. I couldn't get on with it because of the drifting motion and stuff like that. On a handheld screen, it was like too much going on, too fast, too good a frame rate, looked too nice on a small screen. It was, to me, it needed to be on a big screen, but it didn't win me over. It absolutely did not win me over. Like I said, I thought it was too expensive, possibly too fragile because of the moving parts on the back and stuff like that, and the screen. Didn't know how it was going to be supported with SOPA and stuff like that, and the games were really expensive. And this is before sort of media device phones took over, and I'm like, do I really need to watch movies like on this? Can I just buy a portable portable DVD player? I don't know if I need to watch them on a screen this small, and who's going to watch movies when you're out and about in the world? So yeah, did that one bite me in the ass? Most of those things that I've said about it then have been corrected over time, and they're all things I absolutely adore about it now, such as the discs or the media device it uses to play games. Anyway, a few years later, back in the United Kingdom, I had a rebate off my insurance company, and I had £100 to spend. And so this is 2006, and I don't know why. I was in Pink Planet, and they had a 1000, and it was I think it was a white one. I'm not sure. I remember thinking it was. Do you know what? Maybe this is a rebate. It's completely free money. I could just spend it. I mean, this is slightly before my resurgence into retro gaming kicked back in. So I would have definitely spent that money on games like that, then Mega Drive games and stuff like that. But this was before then, and I thought, do you know what? I could spend this on games for the systems I own, which I think at the time was either a Wii and or a GameCube, or I could use it as an excuse to buy something totally new and have something else to play. And we all have that moment when your brain makes sort of different choices because it's what you consider free money. It's not as such, but you know what I mean. So I bought one, and I had Tales from Liberty City, the Grand Theft Auto game. I can't remember what other games I had, but I had a bunch of games. I had a handful of games, and again I ended up selling it on to a friend for pretty much what I paid for it, which I think then, which I thought was a good price, was about £69 I'm not sure. And I did have a movie on it. I had one movie on it, and I can't remember what that was. But again, I was like, why would I want to watch a movie on this? And so both times, and I had it for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month at this point. And yeah, again, it was just underwhelming. I'm like, why would I want to play this? Why would I want to play this? To me, again, I think it was too advanced. Anyway, roll on many years, and you can pick these things up cheap as chips. It's obviously been circumvented by its own failed successor of a successor of a follow-up system, the Vita, and obviously there are models of this which will connect to the TV, which is a shame that this one won't, because I would have liked that. But anyway, and all of a sudden, not just because I got it hacked, and so it has a whole bunch of games installed on it, PlayStation 1 games, PSP games, and it can do all kinds of emulation. This is basically the best emulation device, I personally think, for being out and about in the wild. But it's not even that I use it for. I primarily use it for PSP gaming. Anyway, so it was given to me, and I had this wallet, and I had a few corkers in here, like Spider-Man 2, Mega Drive Collection, stuff like that. What else is there in here? No, that's the Mega Drive Collection. Just to give you so I had it without, that's Spider-Man 2. I had it without, having to worry about games to play. Untold Legends, I don't think I've ever played that. And then the person at work said, oh, I did have some extra games with it. And gave them over to me. So basically, I have a reasonable collection of games with it. These are the games I have that aren't installed on it. Installed on it, I have Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. And I have some movies. had to have the Matrix movies simply because they're the Matrix movies. I understand that one's the best and the other two are meh, but they were like 50p each. Something else that I love about it, and something else that makes me want to own it now for movies, and we'll get to that, even though I used to loathe it. And obviously I have Batman, the best and original Batman, featuring the best Batman, Michael Keaton, and the best Joker, Jack Nicholson. Taste is subjective, so if you disagree, good for you, but they're my favourite Batman and Joker in my favourite Batman movie. So all of a sudden I've gone to, obviously we've got far more superior systems, so I've gone from being, it was a bit too good, if that makes sense, to I can't believe how good this looks now. I can't believe how fully realised these games are. And maybe that's it, maybe, and also because I have a big library of games and they're so cheap to buy now. You know, I think the odds were stacked against it when I first got it, and that could be any to say about any of these systems I'm going to talk about in this series, because I said it's your immediate situation that will be why a system basically works or fails, even before you take into consideration sort of software support and stuff like that. But obviously, like any system, there are games that go for quite a lot of money, but there are also some amazing games that are super, super, super cheap. We're like talking 50p. As for the movies, but I like it now. It's nowhere near as fragile. I have a caterer, but I don't use it, as I once thought. Battery life is pretty good, and I don't know why, it's just clicked. If I actually go out and I'm going to be stuck somewhere now, I actually game out in the wild, and I do it with this. Another complaints I had at the time, which is why has it only got one analog stick? I don't care. And how fragile it is. I absolutely adore, because I know obviously memory cards have come a long way since then with storage and size and things like that. And so if you look at the Switch and you look at the Vita, you know, and obviously even the DS to some degree, and then the 3DS, etc., 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 you know, memory, you know, solid state memory, or, you know, a card, it's come a long way. But I like these. I really like these. Maybe it's the old school nature of myself. I like the, you know, they made up their own format, the UMD. What can it hold up? Just over a gig or something? Which to me, everyone said held it back, was mind-blowing for, you know, especially when you consider back in the day the size of the cards it was up against. But yeah, mind-blowing for me, more than capable for the needs of it. But yeah, I love it. I really like it. I like physical media. Maybe now that's a retro thing or nostalgia thing, but I just, oh, it's just great. I just absolutely love it. Can't connect this one to the TV, which is annoying, but yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like, I guess it's like anything. If you don't jump on board at the start, you know, and definitely don't jump on board at the start, but, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is give something another crack of the whip. We all form opinions, and sometimes we're diehard, you know, and religious about them, and we cut our nose off to spite our face and don't give stuff a second chance. And maybe it was just a collection of things such as, now there are loads of games, they are cheap, because I'm used to watching movies or media or streaming, such as YouTube, on a phone. I don't know why I'm pointing over there. Oh yes, I do. That's where my phone is. Maybe that's why I've kind of given this, like, I like watching movies and I've given it a second chance, and the sound on it's fantastic. The image, well, nowhere near as good as a phone image, but it's more than adequate to me. And again, that lovely, oh, the media. So it's like all of a sudden it's gone to, you know, overpriced, too fragile, too, I just absolutely adore it. Maybe because something else is. It's so cheap now that if I broke it, the first thing I would do would be buy a subsequent model, such as a 2000 or a 3000, so I connect it to a TV and play, you know, the games on the TV, mainly for the purpose of my YouTube channel, not necessarily for playing, because I adore it as a handheld. I do like handhelds, but I don't play them out in the wild. I play them at home. But I play this one more than any other ones I own now at home. I can sit there, kind of, you know, when you do, I guess this is as far as you can say from me, multitasking. And it's a complete waste of power, and the Green Brigade and Bill Oddie would probably shit their pants on it, but what are they going to do? And I've got something on in the background, such as the TV. I like sitting there and playing it while I'm kind of listening to the TV, kind of playing this, pausing, swapping back and forth. It's a nice way to do it. I think I feel a lot more comfortable, because I do not game on my mobile. I mentioned that in a vlog I did ages ago, but I feel a lot more comfortable gaming on this than, well, I don't game on my mobile. So yeah, I like that. I do. It's just weird. I wanted to do this video because mainly it would make more sense against, you know, how the odds were stacked against this if you were one of my mates, because you knew that I was just, you know, I guess you could argue I only put my toe in the water, you know, when it came to experiencing it. And one time when it was absolutely brand new, I mean, the only thing that would have going for it would be its sheer power and blowing me away, but I found that intimidating and kind of uncalled for. But other than that, there wasn't going to be a library of games, massive library of games, a massive library of music, and its price remove all those things from the equation, add in a massive pile of games, affordable games, pile of movies. I wish Back to the Future was on it. I really do. And the fact that you can hack it, but foremost, I actually use this as a PSP. The only side to it being hacked that I enjoy the most is the games that are installed on the stick. But yeah, I don't know how successful this was. I'm pretty sure the DS absolutely slaughtered it, but I'm pretty sure because of the library of games, it must be reasonably, successful or popular, if only because it spawned a direct sequel in the sense that we're ignoring the follow-up to the refinements of this model. But yeah, I adore it. I adore it, and people are quite surprised, and also I'm quite surprised. I guess what I'm trying to say is, and that's why I want to start this series of videos, which is because I'm sure there are systems out there that you are vehemently against, and you have tried them, maybe longer than I did first time around with this, and second time around with this, or maybe just you had the same sort of underwhelming meh when you tried it, and maybe there's similar reasons as to why you can embrace it now. But I could not, this is a very strong descriptive phrase, I know, but you know what I mean in gaming terms. I could not live without this now in my gaming life, because it is my go-to handheld machine, whether I'm inside the house, definitely outside the house. The fact that it's won me over there and I game outside the house without, it's replaced just browsing the web. It's a testament to how much I adore it. It's done a full 80. It really has impressed me with how much I absolutely adore this system. And again, it's a nostalgic thing and a retro thing in the sense, because I guess it is a retro system now, with the fact that I like the media, but more often than not, what intimidated me about it the first time around is now I cannot get over how, and maybe that's just me because I know I'm easily impressed and say it a lot in my videos, going back to, Mega Drive games, I can't get over how good this still looks. I cannot get over how good this still looks compared to modern handheld systems. Maybe that's me. But anyway, as always, I'd love to know what you think. I've got a few more of these coming up with systems that I completely wrote off the first time around, but absolutely adore now. But I want to know what you have, those systems that you couldn't stand first time around, and then all of a sudden you became inseparable. Anyway, as always, I'd love to know what you think. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.